can also send you the link as well too. So you're able to see that. So now it's live. So now I should be able to get the link now. And I should be able to share this. And then there we go. I can see you. I can see me. And now I will just click this here. I'll put this in our Brisbane Lions supporters group in here. And then also, I'll also post this on our page. So yeah, and so what are you gonna watch any other games or just obviously? I know that at the gather round. Who else are you gonna watch this weekend?
Oh, I think I'm interested to see the Port Adelaide Hawthorn game. Um, I would really like to see the Hawks lose. And I think now that Will Day is injured, it'd be good to see. I'm sorry, I'm happy to see how Hawthorn will try and handle the pressure, I
Loss
guess,
of
of playing.
real
Yeah.
Dane, especially how because he's quite vital. And plus, look at last year; they were like really got a point to prove, I suppose, from last year when Ken Hinkley did that airplane as well too. So I was like,
Mm. No, it'll be very
I'm
good.
just I'm just gonna quickly post this to our page, and then I'll send you that link as well, so you got that, and then we can start. All right. What time's it over there? It's almost 5 o'clock, is it? Or
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes to five.
oh, that's all right. So, oh, you're pretty much almost knockoff time for you, is it?
Almost, mate, almost.
Almost. Yeah. Oh, good. So, perfect. Yeah, it's over here. It's only 3 o'clock. So I had a half a day, but then I got to go to a waffle meeting tonight with the Waffle Commission. So that's fun. And I got told, obviously, from the Eagles staff yesterday that Oscar Allen's keen to come to Brisbane next year. So that might be in the
Yeah.
pipeline for next year. So bit
Do
of
you
a
th- do you th- do you think that might happen?
well, I think from if the season stopped now, then yes, he would be there. But obviously, there's still a whole year to play out, and he does want to go to somewhere that he can have a bit of a success as well too. So yeah. And by the way, for those that are watching, this is zinc, by the way. So and the sun, so it's not rubbish on my nose, but a zinc. All right. So all right. So I shared that, and I've given you the link. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so we are back for our Roaring Line Live. Last week we had our awesome guest, who's a Brisbane Lions legend, also who was working with the AFLW. Today we're joined. Obviously, we have gone from Facebook, as I mentioned, to YouTube Live. We have got one of our very own Matthew, all the way from Townsville, up in Queensland, who also came down to the grand final, who I caught up with last year as well too. How are you?
Good, mate. How are you? Great to be on, and thanks for inviting me on, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's always good to chat with you, and I know you joined us last year on the Facebook Live as well too. And I know now we've changed platforms. It'll be good to have you on again. And I thought, oh, why not? Better come and join our YouTube as well. And I know you like to have a good old chat, and the audios will be much better than last year's when it was kept cutting out last year. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right. Yeah. No, it's good.
yeah,
No,
and
it's great to be on. I'm really grateful to have a chance to chat about the footy and our great team, the premiers, the Brisbane Lions. So never thought I'd live to see that or say that. So I'm very pumped.
exactly. And back at 21 years ago, we had no technology or wasn't very much internet. So at least now we can make use of that word premiers and the reigning premiers. Like, because it kind of feels weird when you say that. It's like, did we really win the premiership? It's like when you think about it, like, oh yeah, we did. But it's like it feels like a dream still at times, doesn't it?
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying, it kind of feels like a dream sometimes, doesn't it?
you cut out. Sorry, mate. I
Oh, yep.
My
I was
audio
just
must
saying,
be playing up.
yep. I was just saying, it feels like a dream.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep. I'm there. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you now. Gotta love technology, eh?
Yep. All right. So I can hear you. All right. Um. All right.
Sorry about this.
Yeah, I got a question from Tim. He says, "What is that on your nose?" So on my nose is actually zinc. So I've been out in the sun today, so I just got to keep my nose away from the sun. Um,
Can you hear
all
me?
right, can you hear me now?
No, can't hear you.
I can hear you. Um, all right. Can you hear me still? What did we have before? It was just working a second ago.
I can hear. I can
Yep,
hear you.
Just
you can
yeah,
hear.
there we go. We're back.
You
Sorry,
can hear me now.
sorry about
Perfect.
that.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's so good. It was so shocking. It was so shocking. The internet even couldn't hear us either. I was just saying, it's such a dream to call us the reigning premiers. So yeah,
I know, I can't believe it, and like my wife is sick of me saying it, but I watched the videos on. I think I've saved the YouTube video of the game. I've rewatched it 100 times. I still have to pinch myself. The fact that I was there and then the fact that we won, I just couldn't believe it. Such a surreal feeling after the years and years and years that we've gone through, and it's frustrating because I still feel now we don't get the same plaudits. Like I hate the lack of attention that Brisbane gets as the premiers. I mean, any other team would be raving and talking about it. Um, it's I want to be upset, but I'm also happy about it because it just means we get to go and keep doing our work, and you know we'll get to a position like last year where we'll force the AFL and the community to talk about us. So I love it. I think the club's got a lot to be grateful for, and so much good content has come up regarding the win and everything like that. So it's just been fantastic to see.
exactly. And it was the most coolest thing was the when I did see you, and it was funny. I was going on the plane. I was at the terminal for the Virgin Lounge. I was getting some dinner as well too, and I was just having I was all in my Brisbane gear, so I was pretty happy to go back as well too. Just as after the grand final, and just chatting away to a lady, and she was talking to me, and like, I was like talking to her. I said, "Oh, where's she flying back to?" She's flying back to Queensland. I said, "I'm flying back to Perth." She says, "Oh, you're Reece, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yes, that's me." And then she likes all my social media stuff and that. And I said, "Well, my mate, he actually got a ticket from Townsville. His name's Matthew, and he came and flew down, luckily. And it turns out she was the one that gave you the ticket to get to the
Yeah,
grand final. So, like,
yeah.
how's that for a small world? Like,
And so many stories. Like it was just a magical day. Trish, the lady you're referring to, she's been such a gem of a person, and beyond just the message, and just continuing an amazing friendship with her and her family. And yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. And it's just great to see how, footy brings us all together in weird ways. Footy for me was a way of reconnecting with my brother, so it's just been fantastic to see. And yeah, just really pumped. Yeah, I love it. It's brought a different sense of feeling to the group. So it's hard to ride the success and then also not focus on it. But where it's hard, it's a premiership. They don't come often, so you have to sort of live and enjoy them. So yeah, it's fantastic, and it was awesome to
yeah.
catch up with you too, Reese.
Definitely, definitely, yeah, definitely. It was good because I remember it was at the game as well too. So it was a big old good. We called out and then we did that walk as well too, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was the walk as well.
Oh
That
yeah,
was good.
yeah, it was
Yeah, that
fantastic.
was good. Yeah, and Tim zinc is actually just it's like sunscreen but a bit more powerful than sunscreen. So I got these questions here as well too, asking what is zinc. Yeah, and also, so far we're going 4-0, which I'm not sure how we did that because our first halves are asleep and the second halves we just come back. We sort of haven't been in full ball. We're probably second gear most of our games so far, and plus no forward lines at the moment. So, um, with this week with Bulldogs, how do you think we're going to go at the gather round this weekend?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I've watched all the games, listened to all the commentary. I think it's actually a bit more dangerous to the competition that we haven't hit our straps yet. Harris Andrews actually did an interview where he said a similar comment that, like when we click it together, we're probably going to be a pretty tough team. And I mean, when I think about the premiership that we won last year, it was built off. This is a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Um, I actually think we're tracking along okay. There are things like Fagan would be really annoyed about. I'm glad we won last week, but I couldn't really enjoy last week as a win as we usually would because I just felt that it just felt that the performance, with the leaking of the red time goals, I think we just need to polish up a little bit. But I look at it and I think we're coming off a much shorter preseason. We're coming off some pretty significant injuries and outs. I think the forward line isn't depleted, but what we've got to understand is this is the completely rejigged forward line. So we've gone from playing a dominant, three tall forward line now to pretty much more a dynamic forward line with mid to small forwards and power forwards, but there's still a lack of experience in it. The biggest point for me that is frustrating about our team, Zach Bailey, I think, has really stood up this season so far and is really starting to hit that consistent strap of form. The big disappointment for me has been Rayner. Now, I thought Cam had a really, really great game last week, but I feel like my frustration is Cam needs to stop being a passenger because there's a great opportunity for him to really rip apart and be that main player in the forward. But last week was what I noticed he was doing really well is he was really being that solid extra body in the midfield, in that contested possession. And what I've been noticing, I think, in all the games this season, the key stat, I think, is contested ball. Winning the contested possession seems to be, and centre bounce clearance seems to be the key statistic, which the thing I've loved is if Neil has been tagged, Dunkley steps up. If Neil and Dunkley are sort of off, McCluggage and Ashcroft are stepping up. We've got that real sort of wave like distribution with the midfield. And we're talking about A grade players. Fletcher off halfback's been a revelation. Zorko's been playing fantastically well. We've got some good foundation building, I feel, but I don't feel like we've really locked into our consistent gear. And like that is normal. I would say for the last 4 years, we've had a very consistently dominating approach, but we've also been inconsistent. This is probably a solid feature of how we're playing. Um, and I think we're a chance against the Dogs. I think if anything, it's going to be a closer game. We have to definitely be on it. Um, Sam Darcy worries me up front. He's in tremendous form. He's arguably one of the best key forwards in the comp at the moment, form wise as well. And so I'm interested to see actually how Payne and Andrews will go because I think the best way that Darcy plays is also not the best way to play against our defense in just lobbing it in that big high entry. Darcy's a solid key mark, but I would rate Harris Andrews contested defensive possession against any other key forward in the competition. So I'm keen to see how we'll play with that. Um, Dogs without Bont and Waitman and their other and also Trelaw. Those are still some big outs. But credit to the Dogs. They've had some solid players step up. The key is going to be in the midfield. The key is honestly going to be in the midfield, and I think someone's going to have to keep an eye on Kennedy because he's the one that's on song. But look, I'm confident that we'll win. And if we win, I think are we 5-0 if we win against the Dogs?
Actually, good question. I'm actually not sure they're head to head for the Bulldogs in Brisbane. I have to have a look now. Brisbane Lions head to head Bulldogs. I know we beat them last year, and that was actually the turning point. They had a question on the website. They said, vote if Brisbane are going to make the finals. And at that time, only about 20% voted that Brisbane's going to make finals. And this was when we were like about 12th, 13th. And then we went on to beat them by about 5-8 goals last year. And then
We smashed them last year. Yeah.
And that was when we started that winning. So head to head at the moment, the last 5 games, Bulldogs are 3 and we're 2. So
Just looking at
games.
the table, if we win
Yeah.
on Saturday, we'll go 5-0. And
Oh yeah,
kind of why
5-0. Yeah.
I'm hoping that Port Adelaide pulls a rabbit out of the hat and gets one over Hawthorn. It'll mean we'll finish first. So kind of hoping about that. So
And the last
yeah,
the
look,
last time the last time we did were 4-0, it was 2010, and we missed the finals for 8 years. So I was a bit nervous about actually winning the fourth game this weekend because of that stat from ages ago. So, but I was thinking to myself, well, we got a much better team than we did about 10 years ago. So, we're a bit
I
more
think the
better
key
state.
thing is the structure. The club is not the same that it used to be. When you look at things at like Carlton, West Coast, all these teams that are struggling, there's no structure, and that's where I mean, even with Richmond in this rebuild, the culture is still the same. The attitude, the performance. The thing I love about where we're at is, we may not be premiers every year because the competition is getting harder and harder and harder to win. I did not think we would. Going into last year, I was actually worried, thinking we probably won't even make finals because when you look at teams like GWS, Gold Coast, Adelaide, I thought they're really pushing for it. So, the competition is getting harder and harder, and I think we've got to increase the standards. And I think we're getting there. I think the club is really rebuilt smartly. The culture is strong, the attitude is strong, the players' desire is strong. That's the one thing I've loved about the team this year is no one's come in cocky and complacent. I mean, let's not forget Collingwood last season were 0-4, and they were the reigning premiers. So, you know, in my view, it's about banking the wins early and building up the form. I mean, if look, we've got Dogs and Collingwood in the next 2 weeks, and I don't see why we can't be 0-6 after that. But
6-0,
surely,
hopefully. Yeah.
sorry, 6-0, 6-0, yeah. Uh,
We'll probably have to delete this pod if it was 0-6.
oh, no.
Yeah,
But look, I think we're in a good spot, and you're right. Like we're not. I think everyone can acknowledge that Brisbane aren't playing that solid style that we're used to, but we're building up to it. It's a long season, and I actually think the rest of the competition should be worried because if Brisbane starts playing on song, we beat anyone on their day.
exactly.
Because no,
And looking at the last 20 games, we've only lost 2 games. So we've won the last before these 4 games. We've won 14 of the 16, and then now it's 18 of the last 20 games. Like you said, yeah.
yeah. And the thing is like what people don't realize is, and I was shocked when I heard this stat. I don't know if you listened to it, but SEN has a fantastic program with Hoyne from Champion Data. I don't know if you listened to that. Um, he said last week on the Champion Data podcast, he said the teams that are being able to move the ball the quickest are really the ones that are the best at the moment. And he said there's no team that moves the ball faster from D50 to forward 50 than Brisbane, which is amazing because then I was really looking at that. I didn't think we actually did, but we actually do. Um, and that's what I think is the interesting thing is we're not playing that badly. We've got really good bursts of good form. The difference is we've just got to polish up a bit more, which will come when there's a bit more structure to the forward line. Like it'll come naturally.
Yeah, because that passage of play we had against Richmond last week when Ashcroft kicked his goal, it was the fourth goal, that passage from the defence to the mid to the forward real fast. And they, over here in WA, like obviously I get a lot of Eagles and Fremantle games on TV, and watching those teams, like Fremantle did a passage of play, they went from defence to mid to forward quite fast. And the
Yeah.
commentators went over the board. They're like, "Wow, look how this passage of play!" But like, well, hang on a minute. This is pretty much what Brisbane do each game. Like, it's not that remarkable. But when you think about it, technically, like you say, it's actually quite good because it's like not many teams do that. Like you said, like Brisbane do have moved a lot faster than other teams. I've noticed when you watch the games.
Yeah, and I think this is where I'm saying it's coming down to it's coming down to the contested possession, and that's the key stat this year. Teams that are winning contested possession and the clearance game are the teams that are dominating. Centre bounce clearance, I thought for the last 4 years has been the key indicator of performance. And if you can't win your own contested ball, that's the key difference. You can move the ball, and look, credit to Richmond. You know, they played cleaner footy at times when they scored because they won the contested ball and got through clearer on the opportunities. Our other problem is I think our entrances into forward 50 can be a bit better. Structurally wise, I think we can. If it was me, and this is no criticism to Sam Day because I think he's coming in a tricky spot. But in my view, I think we should be playing Fort McInerney sort of weekly with then Hipwood as the key forward up front because we're just adding another kid. Like in terms of the forward 50 ruck role, why not just play two solid ruckmen that can kick? I mean, Oscar's a good kick. He's good in the forward. Fort's not bad. We've got good consistency in that sort of build up. Um, and like Day is good, but I just don't see what he's offering. And maybe he needs more time, but at this stage, I don't know. I think he's trying really hard, and I'm not really seeing what the dynamic is that he's supposed to be adding. But he's giving effort, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah,
I think Will.
I
I
think
think Will McLaughlin should also should be playing continuously. He seems a solid pick in the forward line.
I think I like Will McLaughlin over Sam Day, to be honest, like because Will McLaughlin showed a lot of heart, and then he got dropped the week after. I was a bit shocked about that. I thought maybe Day may need a 1 or 2 weeks, maybe, just to get back to his formula, and then give Will McLaughlin a go because um, we saw last year when we lost those 4 players to ACL, or 5 players ACL, when we had played a lot of the new young rookies and that, and the young guys as well, like Morris. We had Morris in there. We've had Fletcher, Ashcroft. They all had a go. They all grew, and you saw how well the youngsters actually um, pushed the senior players along. And I feel that we need to give McLaughlin, like you say, a bit more of a go, so that way he can also push the forward line a bit more as well too.
Yeah, and I think there's like as I said, I think there's an opportunity for someone in the forward line to really grab it by the scruff of the neck, and that's what frustrates me about Cam. Is Cam's not a junior player anymore. He's not just the number one draft pick. He's a senior premiership player, and he has the ability to grab it by the scruff of the neck and dominate. That's what annoys me about every game that I see at the moment is Cam has that potential to do that, but he doesn't do it consistently enough. And if he did, I don't think we'd have an issue with the forward line. The problem is I think Fagan likes him to be that sort of contested possession ball in sort of the mid to forward 50, like a De Goey, like Petrarca like player. But I don't know if that suits him. He's a solid mark. He's a good kick. He should play with that bit of freedom, but he's just, I don't know. I feel like he's not just really digging into it. But I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not worried about our forward line. I think we've got a very dynamic forward line. Like people saying, oh, we need this and we need that. I mean, and then raving about Hawthorn at the same time. I mean, Hawthorn and Brisbane probably are playing an identical style forward line. The other
And
thing
you
is,
saw
I
and
think
you
that
saw last year the two teams that came from behind pretty much, Hawthorn and Brisbane, we were both in the bottom eight, and we both end up winning all those games at the end. It was kind of like you say, we kind of played like the sort of same brand, and that's another reason why Hawthorn and Brisbane won so many games last year, because
the
like
key
it
the key
caught a
too
lot of
is
teams off guard.
yeah, and the key too is both teams know how to move the ball, but in a smart way. The kick mark game that we play obviously, Fagan would have no doubt pinched that from the Hawks style, but that from moving the ball. I mean, if you've got the ball and you're moving it to an easy, uncontested mark, you're denying the opportunity for turnover, and schools off turnover at the moment are killing teams in the league. You look at Carlton, and they're just being absolutely hammered by it. So I think the key thing for us is we've got to tidy up on the contested possession. The thing that's frustrated me over the last 4 years watching this team is just the inability to stick a tackle. Um, I think we're just too soft in the tackle and they get broken a bit too easily. Um, we can't just keep relying on Dunkley alone to be the main tackler on the key ball carrier. It's got to be a team wide thing. Um, there's a lot of potential, but there's also the thing that's exciting is the room for growth. You've got the players that we've got to come back. Like if you think
Yeah,
about, we're playing a back line that is missing a Starcevic, a Coleman. do day. Like it's just going to. There's so much to be positive for, and we haven't even seen our other draftee get picked yet. Is it
Gallup.
Sam Fisher? No, no, the other youngster that we drafted with
Oh,
Ashcroft.
Smith. Smith.
Is it?
Because
Is it?
there was a Smith that played actually the other day. He got like 33 hit outs. He got like 22 disposals. No, sorry, 33 disposals, 22 hit outs, and he got 3 goals, one. That was Smith, I'm pretty sure. Um,
No, he's the ruckman. We
yeah.
had there's a
Right.
midfielder we drafted. I think his name's Fisher or something. I have to find it, but we
Uh,
drafted him from our
oh
academy.
yeah, I think I know what you're thinking of, but I can't think of the name now.
Then
Went in the same draft as Ashcroft.
that's it. Yeah, I think he
Mm.
went like around the pick 20s. I don't know, but anyway, we were going to pick him up anyway. I can't wait to see how he plays because I think he's highly rated as well in terms of midfield depth. So we've got so much to work with. Um, I have been liking how Fagan will let Neil drop forward a bit as well to play the forward role. Um, so I think we're playing a dynamic way of footy, which we're not relying on the one key forward. We're not relying on the one key mid. We've got a good spread off halfback. I mean, I'd say we probably have more options than the average team off halfback at the moment. Like you'll have Coleman, Zorko, Fletcher to be able to play off halfback. Bailey's playing an amazing wing role at the moment, which is just so fluid. So we've got a lot to really look forward to in this team. I mean, that's what I'm optimistic. If Brisbane are able to put away the Dogs away and then Collingwood at home, why are we not premiership favourites? Um,
Yeah. It's-
people raving about Saints and Hawthorn and even Gold Coast. Like Gold Coast are
Well,
probably
I even saw before the start of the year they're also talking up Carlton and Melbourne and Fremantle, and only one of those teams have won some games so far. So it's crazy
they're,
to
they're
see.
all they're all great teams and they're filled with great players, but they're not playing um, a consistent style, and um, they're not locked in their approach. Finals foot is very different. I mean, this is the thing. We've only got to make the eight realistically, and then once you're in the finals, it's a different kettle of fish. I would Hawthorn in the finals were a different prospect. I mean, let's not forget they were leading Port Adelaide in that game and then lost it. It's a very different game to make it to that final day in September. So I think anything is possible. If we put ourselves in the best chance with the double chance, I think anything can happen. Um, I'm hoping we go back to back. Who knows?
So I'm guessing that's your prediction for this year, is it? That's your
Oh, look, I'm optimistic. I think we're in a better position than last year for it. I don't think the team is as strong as last year's team, but anything can happen in the season. I mean, let's wait and see. I mean, I think at the moment, if we get a key injury to McCluggage, Berry, Dunkley, or Neil, or Ashcroft, I think then we've got a bit to be worried because I think at the moment we're being saved our blushes because we've got such a strong midfield. Um, I mean, Ashcroft is just. Me and my brother have this argument all the time because I think Will Ashcroft is better than Nick Dacos on almost every metric. And, he says, oh, Dacos is this number one rated player. Dacos hasn't even won one contested mark yet in his
yeah.
professional career. And I mean, that's just a side issue, but I just think Ashcroft's his footy skills, his IQ, the way he shrugs through a tackle. I mean, the guy
And
is hard to stop.
did you see last week against Richmond? The highlight for me was when he got it from the ruck. He picked it up and he in one
Mm,
motion he kicked it in the air. Like not many footballers can do that. Like to actually kick it in the air like that. That was actually pretty cool.
yeah. Yeah, no, his skill and his style was really unique and really good. So, look, I really enjoyed actually his goal. I thought, I didn't think he fluked that. He 100% meant to do that. So, yeah, I think we've got a great player on our hands. I mean, the frustrating thing about Ashcroft is every time I look at him and I think, will he actually stay aligned for life, or will he, want to go to Geelong and play with his idols and go, be tempted to go back to Melbourne? I mean, that's what I'm worried about. But he's
Or he
so
can be
long as
like
we
his
have.
father and stay at Brisbane. So his father
I hope
surely
so.
can tell him, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. But I mean, I was reading something today that Geelong and Hawthorn are the favourites for Harley Reid, and I'm thinking that's just ridiculous. Like, in what world can those two, logically
Yeah.
compete for that player and compensate West Coast appropriately? I mean, like, just a bit of a rort, to be honest with you, but what can you do?
And I think Eagles probably need to get rid of a couple of players so they can do like a Richmond where they can get the draft picks, because the Tasmanian clubs coming through, and we know what happened with GWS and Gold Coast. We got stuck with not many picks because they stole all our picks when we were down the bottom. So, but that's another topic for another day. What's your so this weekend with the other round we've got the Bulldogs. What's your highlight, or what's your moment of the game that you reckon may happen, or that you're looking forward to against the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how Jack Payne. I'm thinking he'll put Payne on Darcy, but I'm really keen to see which key defender plays on him to see how they operate, because obviously Darcy's he's the informed key forward. He's easily the best player for the Dogs at the moment. And I think going a long way to shut him down will be important. I'm also keen to see how the midfield stacks up against theirs. I don't think that their midfield is crap, but I think I would really love a game where we just dominate and we just stamp our authority in that key area and say, yeah, we're here. I think they're vulnerable down the back. I think their transition play is vulnerable, but I'm keen to see how our keys play against their forward line of Norton and Darcy. It's a shame that Jamara is not in the space he's in, because I was thinking about it the other day. Jamara, Ugle-Hagan, Sam Darcy, and Aaron Norton as your three head forward
Yeah,
attack is insane. The potential there.
because there's
Um,
not many teams that have three good tall forwards, and that would test us because obviously our defenders aren't fully there yet. Because obviously Doherty and Coleman and would have to have like say like Leicester have to play Toll or something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
I actually think the story could be Leicester. I mean, I don't know about you, but the way Leicester's playing, he's a smoky for all Australian. I mean, I don't see how you don't. He's consistently doing an amazing job. His transition again off halfback has been nuts. His ball carrying off from D50 is also insane. Um, so yeah, I'm keen to see the narrative of how we approach the Darcy threat, because he is a threat. Uh,
oh, we've are you still there?
so
You're there? Yep.
yeah,
I can hear
sorry, I
you.
don't
Can
know
you
if
hear me? Yep.
again, I don't know if I cut out. I'm having terrible internet. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. Well, we're almost finished anyway. 'Cause it's almost almost time to wrap up. But where can we find you as well too? Have you got social media we can find you on, or
Yeah, I do. Nothing public as of yet, but yeah, we've got
yeah,
my
yeah,
Facebook. I'm trying to get active in some of the Brisbane Lions pages and just do a bit of a match, my 5 thoughts of the game. So if you keep an eye out for that, I'd be happy to. I don't get everything right, so if you think that I've got something wrong, happy to be told differently. But just my observations. Love watching the boys. My wife sort of she prepares every weekend when the game's on. She'll have something planned for the next 3 hours. So, but yeah, no, I'm keen. I'm really annoyed that we're not playing at the Adelaide Oval. I liked what
yeah.
Nick
That's
Riewoldt.
another thing I was going to touch on too, because the last 3 years we've not played at the Adelaide Oval. They've got the Carlton West Coast on. They've got the Melbourne Essendon on, which is going to be the two bottom eight sides that are playing, and they play us in Norwood, where half the amount of people can go. It's only about 10,000 people there, whereas you can get like 50, 60,000, 50,000 at Adelaide Oval. And it's just like we won the premiership. Bulldogs are top finals side as well too. you would think
It's
that
just
both teams have
it's
done
just
enough to play well. Yeah,
it's just the typical AFL, and the whole Victorian bias. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, unless an interstate team or Brisbane kicks the door down and forces these people to talk about us, they're not going to. Like, week after week after week, nobody talks about Brisbane. You'll get maybe a couple of minutes every there, here and there. Everything's on Carlton, everything's on Hawthorn, everything's on Collingwood. Um, it is pathetic that the marquee game of Essendon and the Demons is going to have the prime time spot over the Lions and the Dogs.
yeah,
Because look, our
yeah,
games, that game is going to be a good game to watch because both teams are in form, and it'll be a close game. It won't be a blowout. Whereas
yeah.
nobody knows how the Demons are going to play. They're up and down at the moment.
And Carlton West Coast will be wooden spoon match. It's going to be pretty boring too. So it's like, and like, and also you touched on about not much news for Brisbane, and I've also like about 10 years ago. Remember when we were down near the bottom and West Coast took Yo and Redden, and then they end up playing in the Premiership for Eagles. In the WA, we had no media about them stealing players from us, but then all of a sudden, as soon as Oscar Allen looks at Hawthorn or Brisbane to go over there, they make a big deal about it. It's like, oh no, Brisbane can't take Ireland or that. But I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Eagles did it to us 10 years ago. So what's the
Yeah, but nobody
difference?
nobody bats an eye when Geelong wants to pinch players every year. I mean, Geelong pinched Bailey Smith from um, the Bulldogs. Nobody batted an eye about that,
Yeah,
and the Dogs got shafted in that. I mean, it's just to suit the narrative. I mean, I think James Sicily made a really smart point. The game's changed. You'd be silly not to think of those options.
yeah,
Oscar Allen is only considering what Joe Danaher did. Why not?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
the only thing for me about Oscar Allen is I haven't been following Oscar Allen that much. I don't know if he's the guy I'm going after. I mean, if it's me and it's that $1 million-ish that we've got in the cap space, I'd be going hard at Ugle-Hagan.
Yeah,
Because in my view, Ugle-Hagan's got all the potential in the world and he needs the right environment. And somebody made a comment when I said that, they're like, oh, it'll be like a Fev situation all over again. And I disagree because I think the problem when we had Favola was not Favola or Brisbane. We didn't have the right setup or the right culture. And that's the key difference here. The
yeah.
thing about the club here is there's no egos, it's team first, its attitude is completely different. And
And
I
look
mean,
what's
if you don't,
happened to Joe Danaher because he like at Essendon he was barely getting games. He wasn't in the mood, and then he never missed the game for us. So he just turned it around, and yeah,
I don't blame him, and I don't blame Joe and players like Oscar wanting to leave that bubble for clubs like Brisbane because I mean, if you think about it objectively, that whole Essendon drug saga would have been brutal for any human being to be involved in. Every day you're being talked about, every day you're criticized, every day, you know, what you do for your job, irrespective, you're doing the right thing, you're being punished. I mean, I don't blame Joe Danaher for not wanting to have anything to do with AFL media because he'd be damned if he's damned if he does, he's damned if he don't. And if Oscar Allen wants to leave it, look, it's our benefit. And why not? For years, Brisbane were ripped apart, poached, pinched, everything. And for Brisbane to get a beer destination club and take it, fair play, and we have the space, we have the setup, you know, um, and he'd be a good, I think he has all the off-field traits that the club is looking for. And on field, he's an ex-captain. He's got the leadership capabilities. And yeah, I mean, playing without that pressure would be fantastic. I mean, the only thing is I just don't know that much about him in terms of
yeah,
his ability. But if the club backs him, I mean, the club's recruiting has improved 100-fold. And so they're clearly identifying the right targets. But if it was me, I'd pick Ugle Hagan because I think there's just a
yeah.
longevity there and his raw talent's incredible, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But no, it's always good to have you on the Roaring Lion, and throughout the year we'll have you back on again. And it's good, and much more better setup with the YouTube as well too. A lot more better audio, and you can hear a lot more better, which is good than the Facebook stuff. And also looking forward to this week. We got the Bulldogs. As I say, 4-0 we are at the moment. If we win this, it will be 5-0. Obviously, it's going to be probably one of the matches of the day on the Saturday, where we in the country town compared to Adelaide Oval. But I'm sure it'll be a good game. And make sure you give Matt a follow as well too. Make sure you give him a like on social media as well too. Also look out for him in the Brisbane Lions pages as well too. And Brisbane Lions WA supporters group. If you're on there, make sure you give that a follow.
And shout out to Reece. Reece is the man. He's the best person I've ever met, and best fan of the Lions. The way he gets everyone together, he's awesome.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. So make sure you follow in our Brisbane Lions WA supporters group. Round 23, if you're around in Perth, we are going to have our boat cruise again as well at the end of the year too. So if you ever get a chance to fly over to Perth, make it that week, because then it's the finals after that. So hopefully it should be a good week, but we'll chat to you more about that later on. But have a good afternoon or good evening over there. It's 3:30 here, 5:30 over there. So you have a good evening, and bring on the Lions. Go the Lions.
Let's go, boys. See you, Reece.
That was